Long lines, closing arguments, and number crunching. This is the line already at the North Dade Public Library in Miami Gardens. Right now, people lining up for not only souls to the polls, but the last day of early voting. And after this, it's Tuesday, folks. So 48 hours or so before election 2024 reveals what and whom voters are choosing. And in South Florida, the stakes are so high on so many levels. Team No Sleep this week includes the local Democratic and Republican leadership. Those at the top right here today. Alex Rizzo is chair of Miami-Dade's Republican Party, a state representative whose district runs from Hialeah to the airport and Miami. Chevron Jones is Miami-Dade's Democratic Party chair, a state senator repping North Miami-Dade from Miami Gardens to Miami Beach right here at the table. Spreading the love this morning, spreading the love. So nice to have you both here.
We're back.
We're back. Good morning. You'd be here every week. So let me just lay on the table. I know it's been another hour of sleep, but that's not nearly enough. And I'm very grateful that you're here when it's such a busy day. And I want to talk about the numbers. I don't want to get into like the minutia of numbers because we don't have the graphics to support that. But the headline is GOP in Miami-Dade at the moment is killing it. And the Democrats are closing the gap in the last couple of days. So let me go first to you. So lay out, what do you see out there? And if I could, because we're all friends, let's avoid talking points and happy talk and really give me the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you seeing out there? What are your concerns?
I see a lot of passion. I see people that from the very beginning that early voting began have been out there making lines. It's been actually great weather for it, but it doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's hot. We just stopped by a polling place and there was a line that almost wrapped around the building with at least 300 people in it. Absolutely amazing. A lot of passion. What I would like to see, to answer your question, is I'd like to see more people come out today to vote than on actual election day.
Miami-Dade, at last check this morning, 53% voting turnout. That's pretty good, right?
Pretty good.
Chevron, what do you see?
Well, listen, what I'm seeing now is that the Democrats, we are out. The people are out. We look at North Dade Regional Library right now where they have lines that's wrapped around the library because today is that day that we know for a fact souls to the polls is happening across the country. And we recognize that we started at a little bit of a deficit last week, and we knew we needed to do some course correction to make sure people knew where their voting places there can be and to mail their ballots back in. And I think that's why we're seeing the engagement that we're seeing right now.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think from our sort of perch here, the vote by mail rule changes.
Right.
I see for the first time you really, I believe, see an effect of that. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree with you because when the law changed in 2021 during the legislative session, we had not had a presidential election. So this is the first presidential election that has to fit around that the 2021 legislative session. And we knew, even going into this, that the 50% drop in those individuals who requested a vote by mail ballot would be the case, considering how the law and what it stated for us not to the automatic renewal of vote by mail. We knew it, and unfortunately the Republicans took that away from the citizens to have. So it has been a little bit harder for individuals to be able to get their vote by mail ballots.
Because some didn't even realize that they were going to get it. But why would that be a Democratic issue and not a Republican issue? Because Republicans vote by mail as well.
I don't know. The law doesn't stipulate Democrat over Republican or vice versa.
Have you been seeing that though in the party, in your party voters?
Yes.
We did a very good job. We did a very good job of messaging and letting people know ahead of time what was going on. So, I mean, whatever's going on with that on the Democratic side, I can't really explain other than I think there's a lack of passion for candidates on the Democrat side to turn people out.
Would you like to respond to that?
Absolutely. We have a very great excitement for our candidates. As a matter of fact, we have a very great excitement for the top of the ticket. Her name is Vice President Kamala Harris, to where we're seeing that engagement that absolutely exists. Not even withstanding the polling numbers or anything, the one thing that we are clear on is that Democrats are voting. People are voting for the message that they have seen, and we're seeing that because we're at the doors. And whether or not the numbers look like they look right now, I want to remind people that right now people are voting for decency, dignity right now in this election, and it's with Vice President Kamala Harris. And we're seeing it because we're making those calls and we're knocking on those doors.
Interested to hear your response.
To what?
To all the people
To
voting
many,
for.
many things.
Let's just talk people, Chevron just said people are voting for decency and honesty. And I mean,
They are.
I know people of both parties in Miami-Dade who are very decent and very honest. So,
Absolutely, they
yeah.
are.
Is that a
They're-
concern that what is
well,
what
they
he's
are.
intimating at the top of the ticket?
Yes,
may be something
absolutely.
different?
They are voting for decency. They are voting for honesty. They're letting their voice heard that they are not garbage, as the president called all the supporters out of Donald
Well,
Trump.
if we're going to go
president-
there. We're going to go there on both
Right.
ends.
Well,
So let's keep it local if we keep it local. So let me just ask you both. No party affiliated voters. Hello. Big force in Miami-Dade.
Yep.
What
And
do you
the
see
momentum
happening there?
the momentum has been moving on that side more so than the Democratic side. The Republicans, we
How do you know?
continue
How do you know that?
because we see the numbers. We see the numbers every day, as actually hourly. I'm keeping an eye on it probably every 10, 15 minutes.
Can you check right now?
I can actually. And so we see that the NPAs have really come out as of the last 3-4 days. On the Republican side, our numbers as of close yesterday, we hit 300,000
Yeah.
out of almost 500,000 registered voters on the Republican side of Miami-Dade County. And we also see that it's about 63% turnout on the Republican side. So we are far outpacing that average that you mentioned before.
And the
Interesting.
Democrats are really catching steam on that right now. But I want to make it clear right now that when we look at the MPAs right now in the state of Florida, we have done the research and we are looking at those voters, and they are leaning Democrat.
How do you gauge
Well,
that?
well, listen, I'll gauge you because we're doing the phone calls and we're knocking on their doors in Miami-Dade County. And let us not forget that even right now, the former president of the United States cannot seem to get an endorsement from any of his former top aides. And so I think that should be a sign of what and how this election is going, because of people are looking to turn the page in what we're seeing. And I'm telling you, it is going to have a very big effect on down ballot candidates. And I think that we absolutely should pay attention to it. And I think there's going to be a great deal of upsets on Tuesday.
You know what's really interesting to watch is that whatever happens nationally, I mean, some of it is quite divorced from down ballot, practically speaking, but can't be in the election. So let me give you some numbers that I found. Just generally speaking, statewide, state of Florida, registration is 44-33 GOP. So there's an 11% gap, statewide registration. Turnout so far is 58-54 GOP. So not an 11% reflective, but a 4-point
Exactly.
move.
4-point where in
4-point
Miami-Dade?
between, no, statewide.
Statewide, that's
Statewide,
not
yeah.
the percentage that I see overall. Overall, we see an 11% gain, almost 12%
In the registration.
advantage.
In the
No,
registration.
in turnout, in
In
actual
turnout.
turnout
Okay, that's a
right
different
now.
number than I saw
And
today.
I'll show it to you in the break. I'll bring it up and we
Yeah,
can
of
fact
course.
check that.
I have no response to it. I would say this. I would stick to the point that the fastest growing party in the state of Florida is the MPA. And I also want to make sure we point out right now that the Republicans continue to talk about this 1 million voter registration lead that they have.
1.1.
Which is not of new registrants, right? I want to continue to put out there that this does not convey the message to the Floridians of the amount of Democrats who have been affected by the law of 2021 of the purging of individuals who right now within the state of Florida. We talked about this already.
We
though.
talked about it
That's
last
right.
time we were here.
But he didn't agree with you.
He
That
didn't
time,
agree with
right?
me.
And
He
I'm not
didn't
going to
agree.
agree now.
All right, see the break sign? The break sign means we've got to take a quick break, but I want to talk a little bit of issues when we
sure.
come back, so stay tuned. We can come out in mid-conversation. I want you to know that the crew here found your commercial interaction even funnier than what we're talking. Not that this is funny, but it's really nice to be able to have your perspectives here, and I really want to take it to some of the issues that Miami-Dade, Monroe and Broward are going to be finding a lot of commonality in the things that Miami-Dade does. But Miami-Dade has 5 new constitutional officers, kind of doing now what Broward and Monroe are going to do, and specifically, there's a couple, sheriff and tax collector. Almost every candidate has been here, almost. Alina Garcia, who we spoke about, the supervisor elections candidate, and J.C. Planis is the Democrat in that race. That's going to be, that is a partisan race. And I want to get your take on specifically things like the supervisor of elections, a county sheriff, the tax collector. These are inherently, clerk of court, nonpartisan jobs, especially supervisor of elections overseeing what might be contested elections. Alex, how do you frame for voters how that is going to work, a partisan in that job?
You know, partisanship simply gives you an idea of a person's compass needle, okay? Which way they lean. Is it right? Is it left? Are they an MPA? Are they saying it could go anyway, right? But the thing about having a partisan election is that you're giving the right to the people to say, I don't like the job that this person is doing as head of this department every 4 years, 2 years, whenever it's going to come around, and say, we want to change. Okay, so that's what I think. I think that these, especially in Miami-Dade County, these are such important offices when you're talking about like a tax collector taking in, you know, how much, 12, 13, 14 billion dollars a year and growing.
Yeah.
This is extremely important, and I think it's giving power back into the hands of the people.
That's interesting. I'll just point out that for the people who want to make a change in a primary, in a partisan election, NPAs are cut out of that process. So that there's that. But what do you think?
Hey, listen, I know it's the law of the land, but there's a reason why it was set up with those constitutional offices weren't partisan. Because when you're dealing with the people, when you come to tax collector, sheriff, and those different things, and you create this partisanship that we already see is really breaking down the fragment of this country, because everyone now, no one's talking to anyone because everyone's on their side of the aisles. The least we could have done is those type of constitutional offices, kept them as is, to where you have to appease to everyone within that area, not Democrat, not Republican. What is your expectation for the people who you plan on serving from whoever party they're from?
And if I can just take that up a level, do you have concerns if a Republican becomes the supervisor of elections, especially a Republican who has yet to say that Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election?
But listen, I believe anyone who cannot.
And I just want to be on record as saying that is a fact, not a judgment call. No judgment here,
right?
Because it's important for me to say that. But go ahead.
Listen, she's currently a representative. If you cannot say out of your mouth that the 2020 election was a fair election, and now you're running to be the supervisor of elections, to where you are now the lead in how we count ballots here in this county, that's an absolute problem. Even if you are running to be the supervisor of election and you show up the way you did in the last few days for a U.S. Senate candidate, that's a problem. And so, yeah, I mean, if you are going to become so partisan to where you can even represent or show yourself in being collective and being there for the people, that's a problem on the onset.
Do you have that, Alex, same concern?
No, I don't. I don't.
Well, would you? Because it could go either way.
It could go either way. I mean, but here's the thing, is that, again, people are going to be accountable. The people that are running for these offices and eventually elected are going to be held accountable by people. So, again, if you're too partisan or anything else, now, you know, I would imagine that, yeah, you know, you might fall prey to, you know, your success or lack thereof. Now, I just find it interesting that, again, Shevard Jones, our senator, someone who I respect greatly, would disagree with a partisan countywide election when the Democrats have had historically the numbers and the majority of all voting. Why would that be a problem in Miami-Dade County when Republicans are clearly still a minority?
You're looking at me, but you're asking him, so go ahead.
But listen, again, I'm speaking of decency. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican. The question is, can you serve the people in a non-biased way in these positions when it comes to tax collector, sheriff, and things of that nature, because of the engagement that you have with these individuals? I never even spoke about party. Why? Because I'm consistent with it. I don't care if you are a Republican. The question is, do you serve the people who live within that area based in this constitutional office?
You know, before we have about 3 minutes left in this segment, and I really want to get your perspective on amendments 3 and 4, the recreational marijuana, the abortion rights amendment. I know everyone will know where you both stand on that. There's very little daylight. On the abortion rights, there's no daylight. I know you've been with your Republican colleagues in support of the recreational marijuana, but that notwithstanding, the governor and the administration are against both. And as well, I respect their decision to be that way, but using taxpayer money and resources, we've counted 6 different state departments, upwards of $20 million in some call it propaganda, some call it information, which is not by law a legal thing to do. Spoke to the governor about it. He thinks it's on the up and up. What do you think?
I agree. Look, I agree with the governor. If we have a department that clearly says there is a break of the law, somewhere it was infringed, then fine, let that department work try to prove that. Now, if there's somewhere where a department is using its budget illegally, well, obviously that will come up eventually. I've been very focused on elections and getting people elected locally, so I haven't really delved into exactly the minutia of what it is that's been going on.
Valid.
I'm going to say this is inappropriate. It's inappropriate that the governor has used taxpayer dollars to spew propaganda to Floridians to try to spew Amendment 3, Amendment 4, and try to convey it in their messaging. When you use upwards of $50 million to go against an amendment, which those dollars weren't supposed to be used for that, those dollars were for opioid, for messaging, for other things of that nature. The governor knows better. The governor is a graduate of a very astute law school, and so he knows better, and so does the individuals who work inside his office. It's inappropriate and it's not right.
Anything about it, in your sense, trying to thwart the will of the people? Do you see it that way?
It's misinformation. That's why people hate politics now, because of the misinformation, because of the way things and how you elected officials who are in power use that power. And when you use it in a way to misinform people and try to sway something that's absolutely not true. And I think those who have been following this process and how ballot initiatives work, all of this stuff has to come back to the legislature anyway for rulemaking. So the will of the people should always be the will of the people.
I want to end with just you reacting to that. Do you see it? I know you don't know, you're not in the weeds with the details. I appreciate that. But do you see the anti-work as trying to thwart the will of the people?
No, I see it as people giving their opinion. Look, the governor is a citizen. He has one vote, just like his wife does. But
is acting as governor.
Is acting as governor, absolutely. But let's just because, for example, I'm elected and I represent about 200,000 people, about 1/3 of what the senator here does. And when I am on the show and I say I'm against 3 and I'm against 4 as well, that's my opinion. Okay.
But you haven't cut any ads using your constituents' money to sway either way, yes or no?
Like I said,
no, he
like
hasn't, because it's wrong.
I have not. And again, I don't know the details of what's been going on. But again, when it comes to a legal point, which I do see that the Department of Health did have a legal point to say that one of the ads was totally misleading in saying that abortion is banned in Florida, which it is not.
We talked about that. That actually there was that ad, but the Department of Health letters were about another ad, which we fact-checked to find that it was true. But the Department of Health letters can't be held anyway because a judge said no. Right. So that's that. And I think we got to go.
That's that.
As much as I'd love to keep going.
We want to keep going.
We would love to keep going.
Yes.
We got a couple of other guests out there that might fight you for that. Thank you so much.
Great. Can we get a final message in? Get out and vote.
Yes.
Come to Souls to the Poet, Northgate Regional Library today at 1:00 p.m.
I love when I have bipartisan love here. All right, thanks so much, you both.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next on the ballot, but votes will not count. Miami Beach canceled a question even as people were voting on it, an unprecedented move, according to the judge who okayed it. The mayor of Miami Beach, right here next.